Hey Kurtz, what's going on? So welcome back to my one more video. So in this video I'll be discussing about chatbot, and then it will be connecting to the Docker and then Kafka, Gmail, Oracle database, and some kind of system design. So please stay connected. It will be a little long, so grab some coffees or tea and then we can go to each and every model. Thank you. So let's come to the design portion of it. So we'll be configuring MCP host. Internally, it will be having MCP client. Along with that, it will having the MCP server, and in MCP server we'll be doing setup for the Oracle database and the Kafka. Now, for the Kafka, what we'll be do, we'll download from the Docker desktop, and we'll be using existing Docker images. And I'll assume that you'll have your idea about the Docker, about the Kafka, and I'll touch upon base all those little bit, but not much. Otherwise, the video will become very long. So, speaking about the producer, it will produce the data. So in our case, we'll be producing the employee data, and I'll be creating only one topic with one partition with one replication factor. Now each of them, if you need more details, you can let me know in the comments. I can create a series of videos on Kafka. And then we'll be creating the consumers. So this consumers is nothing but one of them will basically drop the email. The rest, everything, all the other consumers, it will consume the data, but it will not do anything, right? Ultimately this is the email they'll be getting. So I'm using Gmail because it's very convenient, and it's the most of us are using it, so you can use it for your own development, right? So let's go to the little bit about system design. So in this, right, I'll be having two microservices, microservice 1 and microservice 2. And in microservice 1, I am having our agent, AI agent. And this AI agent, basically, we have something called tools. And that tools will be configured in the MCP client. Now, what is tools? I already explained in my previous videos, but just to give you a highlight, right? So AI can speak with using the tools. For example, we have the REST endpoints, right? So the REST endpoint, basically we call it from the different clients. Similarly, the AI agents can talk to different tools. So these tools will be registering in the MCP client as a MCP server. Now inside the MCP server, those tools, it will connect to a database, and it will store the data into database. And then once the database successful, or the insertion is successful, it will push the data into the Kafka topic. Now I am configuring three consumers just to show that each of them can work independently. So the email consumer or the notification consumer will be the admin consumer and the OPS security, right? So if I go a little bit down, so this is the Kafka ecosystem, and I'm just assuming that you have fair idea about the Kafka ecosystem, right? So I'll be having producer, and that producer is basically push the message into the Kafka topic. This Kafka topic will be divided into the different brokers, and each broker will have the partitions, right? So this, and again we'll have the consumers, and each consumers will be part of the consumer group, and they will be put into some of the partitions, and they'll be consuming from there. So that is the nutshell what is the Kafka ecosystem, right? So in my examples, I'll be telling the AI agent, hey, can you create this employee? And the AI, basically the agent, it will take the data and then ask the MCP client, hey, is there anything tools that is available which can insert the data and give me back the data. So that MCP tool will first search over here, and it will search for the in first microservices what about the register tools, and one of the register tool will be the create employee. I'll show in the demo. And then it will store the data, and those employee information it will push into the producer, and the producer it put the data into the topic as a JSON serializer, and all the consumers will be consuming that data as a JSON deserializer. And then once we have the data, it will send the email to the respective team. So this is the entire ecosystem. Now to start with, we need a Docker, right? That is the main ingredient. So what you can do, we can go to the Google, and what we can search, for Docker desktop. It's already there in my search list. So I can come over here and click on here. So you can come over here and then click this guy. It will download an exe file, right? And then your Docker setup is done. which is really good. So I'm assuming that that setup is done, and then we can come over here. Okay, by the way, you can search for Docker desktop. So Docker desktop ultimately, so once your exe file, once you do a next, and then installation is done, Docker desktop is ready. So in this you can see, or we can view all the images what I have, right? So I'll be using these two images, Kafka and Zookeeper. These images are already there in the as a public, right? I'm just using these two, right? All right. So come over here and let's say Docker PS. Is there anything running? No, right? So we have to fire some commands to run this Docker images now. So we have Docker compose file, right? So this Docker compose file, essentially we can put all my services which I want to run it, and then all with all the configuration, and essentially it will run all together one by one. So one thing to note here, right? So I'm using this images. These images are already there. You can search in Google. This is public available, and I'm creating the my topic. So this is the topic name, and this is one partition with one replication factor. So let me know in comments if you need a details video on this, all these things. I can create that, right? So with these settings, right, let's go over here in our terminal, and then let's run Docker compose. So this is the compose file, Docker compose file. So I have to write Docker compose -f, and then the file name. So my file name is compose.yml file, and just make it up. So there are different commands are there. Up is will make sure that all the containers got created, and down is there to make sure everything is to make it okay. So yeah, I just started that. So now it's starting creating the topic. So I think it's up and running now. So what you can do, you can go to more terminal, Docker PS. Yeah, so we can see here both the images are running. So we are in a good position now. So this is one tool, Docker tool, what we need. Next, what we need is the, there is something called, so we have to see so once the messages are getting produced, we need to see the messages, right? So there's something called offset. It's very nice tool, where you can see all these data and everything. So once your table got created, once your not table, sorry, topic. So once your table got created, you can see this cluster. Let me do one thing. Let me disconnect this. So yeah, initially it will be, so once you download this, you'll be having this kind of setup, and just fill up these values, bootstrap servers and everything, and just try to ping this. It will give you success, and then try to connect. So I have already my topic, which just now I have shown to you, right? And you can click here for searching the data. Already some data are there because I was playing with this before the recording this video. And then, as I said, right, I am having 3 consumers. So I'll show you how these 3 consumers are getting created. This is a UI where I can see these data. So don't worry about this, right? So you just make sure that you have this tool, right? And the rest, everything, it will fall in place automatically. So let's go to the build.gradle. So let's minimize this. Let's go to build.gradle. Yeah, so I'm using Gradle. If you're comfortable with the Maven, you can do that as well. I feel very good with the Gradle. So I'm using, Kafka starter. So Spring Kafka, I'm using it. Along with the Spring Kafka, I am using the email service because I have to drop emails, and that is being configured in the consumer side, right? And then I'll be storing into the database. For that, I need a JDBC. JDBC and the JPA. So this is the JPA and this is the JDBC, Oracle JDBC. Now I'll be configuring this as a tool. So for that I need a MCP server. So this is the MCP server. What you can do, you can create a REST endpoint also, right? So Okay, so we are in application YAML file. So let's look into the settings. So first setting, we need the Oracle database. I already explained all these things, how to configure the Oracle database. You can see my old videos, but essentially you need a username, password, and some settings. So that's how it's done, right? And then you need, for the email communication, you need the SMTP, right? And I'm using the Gmail as because it's very popular, right? So with this Gmail, you have to make sure that you have an account. With this account, you have this Gmail you can mention over here, and then you have to create the app password. So I'll show how to create the app password. So this is how we can do it, right? So these are the settings. Now in the settings, one thing to note, right? This port name is essentially for the Gmail, and it has the email as auth as true. So basically we need the authentication, right? And all the messages are encrypted, which is nothing but the TLS settings, right? So if somebody has their own SMTP server which is capable of sending the emails, they can make it as a false, as because that if it is hosted in their own local system, right? So how to set up the app password? Let's go there. Alright, so I am in Gmail. So once you go to your inbox, so there will be, uh, at the right hand side corner, you can see, right, these four tabs are there, and then the C is written. So just click on that, and then it will be account manage will be there. So you just click on there. Once you come over here, so once you click over there, and then you have to give username and password. Once you do that, so you have to search for app password. So once app passwords. So once you give the app password, and then you can see all the app or whichever passwords are there already created. So you can give anything. So let's say blah blah. I'm just giving that name, right? And then you just click on create, and it will give you a password. So that password, right? It will be like 16 digits, 444 each, right? So ultimately you have to use that in place of this placeholder, right? All right, so this is all about the application YAML file. So let's go to the Kafka configurations. So we insert the messaging. Where are you? Configurations, yeah. So this is the producer. So as you know, right, we have created the producer, and sorry, we have the Bootstrap server, and that Bootstrap server we have to basically recognize. We have to make sure that those entries are provided, and as I said earlier, right, we will be using the JSON serializer. So this is the serializer, and the key will be the string. So we can make it anything, but in my example I'll be using the key, and I'll be sending the JSON object, which is nothing but the employee object. I'll be sending it, right? And you can do the settings like this. So I'll be sharing the code with you. You can see the code, and then you can do the configurations. But these are the main important ingredients which is required. Otherwise, your recipe will not be good, right? So once this is done, again the same thing, flip side of it is the consumer. So in the consumer also you have to mention the Bootstrap server and the deserializers, and then you have to register those in the consumer factory. So let me open that. So this is the deserializers. So this is a Bootstrap server and deserializers. Again, make sure that you have the deserializers, and that this is the trusted package. If you don't give this, it will not work. So these things are much needed. And then we have this consumer factory. So there you just register your Bootstrap server. That's all about it. No, so with once the configuration is done, what we can do, I have I have created one controller. So let's go over the controller once. Right, it's very simple. So what I'm telling, I'm just taking the employee object, right? So this employee object you can see here, I'm just encoding with the entity because I'll be storing this data into the table. That's the reason there is an entity is there, and these are the names in the column names. I have explained all these things in my last videos, so you can see that. So this is the ID name, and this is the object I am passing, right? And this is a REST controller. So I am not be using this REST controller by the way, but just for testing, you can create this, and you can go over here and see this is the DAO layer, right? So ultimately it's doing the saving, and I have an interface for that. So if I go to DAO, where are you? Yeah, here it is. So this is a DAO layer, and I have this CRUD repository. So I mentioned here as an employee, so that it will take care automatically. There are different the implementations are there for that. So save, delete, all these things are there. So I'm just using save for that. All right. So once the save is done, what I can do, I'll just come over here and send the message to the producer, and then this is the producer part of it. So I'm sending this. All right. Okay, now let's come to the consumer. So I have three consumers, and these three consumers will be consuming to the same topic. This is very important. It's the same topic, right? Because I want all these consumers to be parallel. So you can assume that once the employee joins, there will be some work will be there in the office security, so that they can give access to all the employees or that new employees, right? There will be email communication or notification service, which essentially it will tell all the managers on the team that hey, this guy has joined your company or your team, just give him KT and all these things, right? So that is one more consumer. And there is the account department. Let's say if the new employee joins, right? So all the salary thing, that those all these things, right? It will take care by the account department. So I have three consumers for that, right? So one thing is very common is the topic name for all of them, which is common, right? And one of the interesting thing is the group ID. This is very important. So group ID are different for all of them, otherwise it will not work, right? So there is a whole concept is there for the group ID. Let me know in comments. I can create a video separately for this. And there are in the listener, right? There are a lot of things you can do in the listener. So we can, so I mean, I can create a video for this. We have filters. Let's say I don't want to consume all the records, so I can do using the filter strategies there. We have properties. Let's say I want to only do for the Avro messages or JSON or the string, right? So all these things we can pass in the properties, right? So these are various things. We have error handler is there. So I want to retry only for some specified error codes, right? If the data is not found, that kind of scenarios, right? We can do all these things. Let me know in comments if you need more details about all these guys, right? So this is the employee. So from the employee notification, sorry, this is the notification consumer. So email notification, and I'm just dropping, once the consumer is up and running, and then once it gets the message, it will drop email saying that hey, this employee has joined, right? Okay, so let's go to the MCP host now. So this is the MCP host. Just to give you an overview, what is MCP host? This is nothing but we have a registered AI. So this is the AI I'm using Olama AI, and that this AI agent will ask the question to this AI agent saying that hey, this employee has joined, can you create a record? And it will go ahead and create, right? So that is what the main idea behind this. Right, so this is the Olama I'm using it, and I am using the MCP server, which is nothing but I'm mentioning over here, and then the tool callback. So I'll just tell you what is tool callback. So because I have to register this MCP server into the tool callback, right? So let's go over the controller ones. So this chatbot controller, I'll be hitting this endpoint. I have a detailed video on this in the last video. So essentially this chat API, I'll be calling this, and this chat API, it will interact with the AI agent, and that AI agent, it will ask the question to the tools. Again, what is tools and everything I already explained. That tools, essentially it will ask, and then those tools, it will give you the answer. Hey, I have this tool, I can create it for you. That is what it will do, right? So if I go to, so this is how that service looks like, and there is a, so since I'm auto airing this chat client, so I have to create one bean for this, right? So if I come over here, this is the bean I'm creating, and in this bean I'm just making sure that my tool provider is enabled. So you can see here tool provider I'm giving over here. So that is essentially whatever the tools are there, it will registering for this, whatever the servers. So this is the server I'm mentioning it for all. This server has some kind of tools. I'll just go there, what is tools, and everything is, it is registering using the tool callback. So this is true. Okay, now this is, I'm just go to the tool once so that it will be clear. So let me go to, minimize all these things. Yeah, So I am in service. This is the tool, you can see, right? So this tool is the employee tool. So I'm just telling that, hey, this create employee tool I am registering, and if the AI agent sees anything which is related to create employee, that keyword, right, it will go ahead and come over here, and then it will execute those statements, right? And again, this is the tool. I have to register this tool in the MCP, server as well. So for that, if I come over here, right, so this is where I'm registering this tool. So this is nothing but my employee service, which is passing as a dependency, and this is the employee tool. I'm telling, can you register this tool? All right. So this is nothing but this guy only, and this is the tool it got registered. All right. I hope everything is clear, right? Now let's do one thing. Let's hit this from the postman, and we'll go over each and every data. So all the applications are running in my system, right? Okay, before that, let me go to database and see if anything is there or not. Okay, so there is no data. So let me do one thing. Let me give my name itself. So let's say Mayank. Right, so let's say Mayank, he joins, right? Okay, so I'm just telling our AI agent that, hey, can you create this employee Mayank Pandit, and the department is test sports, right? And then get all the employee details. So once I hit this, it will do. Yeah, so I'll just pause my video because it will take some time, 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, so it got created, as you can see here, right, based on all these some blah blah things he has written, this AI agent. Okay, so he retrieved the employee, and then he is telling that he is Mayank Pandit, and he is, the sports, and then it seems he has, okay, he given some title also, it seems. Okay, okay, anyways, that looks cool. And then let's go to database and see what's over there. So you can see here sports, right? Now the most important thing is our consumers. So as I said, right, there are 3 consumers out there, and ideally all 3 of them should get this data, right? So you can see here, so this is my accounts department. So it got the message, right? Consume the message from the, okay, this is the office security. So consume the message from the office security, right? So accounts department consume the data from the account department. So, and then this is the email. So this is the email service. So that also it got the data, consume the MCP server and all these things. Okay, I think now let's go to the offset. So if I refresh this, you'll see my record. So you can see here the Mayank, it's coming over here, right? And the one thing is, it has the offset, right? So offset, plays very key role. So we can decide whether the consumers are lagging or not. So if you go to each of the consumers, so there are 3 consumers are there. So and if I go to the offsets, the consumers is always ahead, right? So you can see here 23 is the offset, and there in the topic it was 22, so it's ahead. So which means that there is no lag. So lag is 0, you can see over here. So and if you have lot of bulk messages, right, you'll see the lag, and in that case maybe you have to take some strategy to increase the number of instances or number of consumers based on the traffic. So you can see here it's 23. All right, with that understanding, we're good, I think. Okay, so now let's go to the email. All right, as you can see here, right, I got the email saying that this guy has joined Mayank Pandit, and then if I open this is the message. So this is the entire flow of it, right? So I hope you like this video, and if you just like this video and subscribe, and then for more updates. Thank you so much, and have a good day. Bye bye.